What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our prediction show for when the Riverhounds take on the Las Vegas Lights. I am Mike. Joining me for this one is Steve. Steve, how's it going, man?
It's going great. Took a couple days off this week. Got out for a nice bike ride yesterday. Was at the farmer's market last night, and one of the vendors had plants buy two, get one free that they've had for weeks. So picked up a few more plants, got those in the garden this morning. It was great out this morning, like low 60s when I got up, like sat outside with my morning coffee. And like it was chilly, like wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, just kind of taking it easy. Really glad that it's summer. Like admissions this year was just so much work, and I'm glad to be through that. I'm glad to have the slower pace of summer and not get emails or have meetings every day, multiple times a day. And it's like, I had some emails from when I was off, responded to those, a couple follow-up emails, and it's like nothing. And it's just like, I love looking at my inbox and there's not anything new. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
What about you?
I actually don't know. We were supposed to go on a canoe trip starting tonight, basically just all day Saturday and then come back Sunday morning. But now it's looking like weather-wise, we're supposed to get a bunch of thunderstorms and stuff. And right when we were supposed to be on the water is when the thunderstorms were supposed to hit and then just run all day. And where we were going, there was no cover for any of the kids or anything like that. So everyone would just be like huddled in their tents. So we kind of made the call earlier to cancel the trip. Okay. So now we're not going. So now I got a whole like weekend that I need to fill, which I'm sure I'll find something to do. But
no, I was thinking about going to pedal or to Open Streets tomorrow. But with the threat of the weather, I'm just like, I don't want to ride in the rain.
Yeah. It's no fun. It's miserable for everybody.
Yeah.
So. Well, let's talk about what's going on this week as it relates to the Hounds. So typically we have an insider episode where I'll talk to a fan of the team that we're playing. In this case, we couldn't find someone until really late. Thankfully, Derek Clark of the Electric Company, which is their supporters group, did eventually get back in touch with me, and we were able to send him questions, and they responded. So we're going to read the questions on air. Steve, maybe we'll just like bounce back and forth between the questions so that, people don't just have to listen to me. So one of the questions that I always ask is,
wait, I want to say something real quick. Before we get into his questions and whatnot. I really appreciate this insider series that you've been doing. Like, it's a lot of fun to hear from other people, and but also like I'm learning so much about other teams' supporters groups. Like when I looked at the notes, I was like, that's a really cool supporters groups name for that team, right? Like, and so it's just like it's awesome. So I just want to say that.
Cool. Thanks. No, I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate being able to talk to people. It's always fun to get someone else's perspective. And we always sort of assume this is the case, but everyone that I've talked to has always been of the mindset of, show up. They're so welcoming. They, literally they sent travel directions for anybody going to this game. Like, this is where we're going to meet. This is where people can hang out. But everyone has the mindset of like, come, let's all join together before the game, hang out. We'll hate each other during the game and then we'll get back together afterwards. It's just the community of USL fans is really, really great. I don't. Well, yes, I was going to say, I don't think it's always the case. We actually haven't had somebody from Detroit on. We'll have to get them the next time around. But I do remember in years past that was not always the case, that we would talk to fans and there was some animosity and it was just like, what are we doing? Like, we're all here for the same thing.
Yeah.
So no, I've loved talking to people.
Part of that is the growth of the league and people recognizing that like it's a fun league to be a part of. But also that like we don't have to have those same perspectives that you might see in other leagues, that we can have fun because we're here for the same thing, right? We're here to watch our team perform, to have fun. And I think the culture of the USL, where you get to know the team and the players, that builds that. So when you're interacting with other fans, like it's fun, right? Like was it Matt from Louisville? Right? Like talking about like being in the parking lot and the woes of a Wednesday Highmark game, right? Like, like that's awful. USL, do better, because that's one of the best games for Louisville and Pittsburgh fans to hang out together and actually like build camaraderie within the league. And that does awesome things for the league. So no more Wednesday games with Louisville, please.
Agreed. So I guess on to the questions. One of the first that I always like to ask is just sort of an open-ended, what do you like about, your team this year? So what do you like about the Lights this year? The Lights recently got a new ownership. So Jose Batista basically bought the club. They see it as a blessing. They said there's now a clear focus on the sport and development of players. Multiple players have now signed 2 to 3 year deals, which is a drastic change from the previous owner's objectives. And they really love the improved direction. They said that the defense has improved and it's a lot better than in the past. They still don't have the best record, which we'll get to in a minute, but they absolutely have a winning spirit, which is really, really good. Steve, do you want to take the response to what do you not like about the Lights?
Not liking about the Lights. Seems like people are a little upset about some of the new rules, including no smoke. They've tried to get that, but it's not working. Concessions are apparently pretty expensive there. There's still a lot of holdover from the declining attendance since their first game, which was sold out. People loved it. But he kind of talked about how so much of it was flash over substance with the old ownership group, and that there's a lot of in Las Vegas, there's a lot of sentiment that even with the new ownership, there's just a bad taste in people's mouths and they haven't started coming back yet. So, I would hope for them that means over time, this new ownership can show that they're doing things differently and work to bring people in. We've seen what a great front office can do here in Pittsburgh over the past few years as they've expanded and with Jeff and whatnot. And so hopefully they can find somebody that can do the same thing for them, because let's see the league be better. Even these teams that aren't having good attendance right now, I want to see them pack Cashman Field again.
It'll be very interesting to sort of see how things play out for Vegas over the next few years, because I do have a concern. He mentioned specifically that flash over substance. When Vegas first entered the league, I think it was sort of a joke. They're dropping money out of helicopters and they have llamas on the field, and it's a whole thing.
Remember the game where they had the mattress seating?
Yes. About the mattress seating, yes. But that's the kind of stuff that sticks in people's mind, and they think that the team's a joke. Now you have news that MLS is sniffing around, potentially trying to get a team in there. So hopefully the Lights can sort of weather the storm and get some better attendance numbers and grow their program the same way that other teams have. Because I'd hate to lose them from the USL, especially from the MLS monster.
Yeah. So then you kind of got some insight in writing from him about who to keep an eye on if you're going to your first Lights game.
Yeah. Basically, they said Valentin Noel, Sean Smart, Coleman Gannon. Looking back at really their 3 most recent games, I know at least Gannon scored once. The other 2 may have been involved as well. So those are just some names to watch out for. I followed that up with, they're currently sort of a bubble team, and I asked him if they thought that the Lights are a playoff team this year. Steve, what was the response there?
Yeah, I think the big difference, similar spot in the table out west, that the Hounds are just out of the playoff picture, 3 points away. The big difference is how much tighter it is in the West. That right now the Hounds are 20 points off first place. In the West, the Lights are only 10 points off. And I think one of the things also, though, Vegas has played 1 more game and have 3 extra points. So that influences it as well. But that's a really tight table over there. And it does look like it's wide open and anybody can get into the playoff spot or drop out of the playoff spot and end up in a lot of different places out west.
Yeah, for sure. So the last question that I always end up asking is just score prediction for the game. And in this case, they had said 2-1 Lights, but they're a bit biased. The Lights have, we'll get into sort of where they're at. I'll save that. Next up, after the Insiders, we always like to do the pregame and show with somebody from the Hounds. In this case, I was able to talk with Jacob Randolph. Really great to talk to him. I was impressed. I don't know why I was impressed, but I was impressed with just sort of how well spoken he was, sort of clear thoughts. Just did really well. I think this might have been his first professional interview, and he did great.
Yeah. Oh, I think
So,
that's what it was, right? Like he didn't sound like this was the first time he'd ever been in that context.
mhm.
I mean, he was just as professional, but thoughtful and insightful as the guys that we've been doing this with for a
Yeah.
few years, right? And I think that really stood out to me. That I was like, oh wow, like he's got the tone to be able to do this. It's going to be fun to see where his career leads him in the future and see how that continues to go.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. The biggest news from that was just that, the team got some rest early this week,
Mhm.
which obviously they needed after 3 games last week. He mentioned specifically that they know that we have basically all of July. The Hounds are going to be home. They just have to get
Mhm.
over this Vegas bubble, but nobody's looking past Vegas.
Yeah.
He did mention, and this was something that was brought up on Houndsy. Forget which game it was, that Rhode Island or maybe North Carolina, where some of the people from Houndsy ran into the guys after the game, and it was like late that the guys were up, and it seems like it might be a thing where the guys have late games and then they have early flights the next morning. And so they just won't go to sleep. They just stay up all night. And so it'll be interesting
Oh, to be young and pull all nighters.
seriously, seriously. But it'll be interesting being in Vegas to sort of see if there's any stories that come out of what happens while they're there. I'll have to see who we talk to next week. Maybe I'll try to get some stories
Yeah.
from them.
I'm just picturing Kenny be like, guys, I'm trying to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But yes, to be young and in Vegas. So,
Um, yeah.
but yeah, beyond that, just some additional Vegas details. You mentioned Vegas is ninth in the West on 18 points, 3 more than us, just because I shouldn't say just because they played one more game. They've just played one more game. They've scored 10 more goals than we have, and they only have 10 more shots than we have. So this isn't like, you and I were talking last week about sort of the high opportunity chances and
Yeah.
how, it'd be great. Just like, let's just put more shots on
Mhm.
net. It sounds like in this case, they're 10 for 10 if they're just taking 10 more shots than we are. So that's something to keep in mind. They have conceded 11 more goals than we have. So defensively, they've given up some more. But their last 3, I always like to look at the last 3 just to try to get a sense of where the team is now. They've all been draws. They drew 1-1 at Loudon, 3-3 against the Switchbacks, 1-1 against Memphis. In those games, they've given up an average of 14 shots per game. And for comparison, we typically give up 8 shots per game. So there's going to be opportunities there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one, Steve? How are you feeling about this one?
I mean, I think it comes down to you were talking about those goals versus shot stats, and it's not a great conversion rate for Las Vegas. It's only 13.4, right? And so it's an opportunity for the Hounds to come in and start righting that ship. Uh, we know we've talked about that how much over the past few months that at some point we need to figure out how to score goals. And so if we can do that in this game, this is an easily winnable game for the Hounds. I just yeah, that's the question. Can we score the goals? If we can score the goals, I don't think they're going to put enough on us to win if we score 2 goals.
I think that my hope, and again, we had this whole conversation with the last prediction show where I think Justin was saying we're fans. Like if we give up hope, then like we've got nothing. So if we were journalists and we had to actually say like this is how we think this is going to play out, it'd be a very different story.
Yeah.
So I think going into this game, I think you're right that this is the game that hopefully we can win. I think that my one hope is that we brought in Musha Galusa last week amidst sort of this crazy 3-game stretch. So you're just kind of plugging him in. Really got his first minutes against Louisville, which is his former team. Didn't even play on the weekend. You now have a week to try to pregame around sort of how he could actually impact the team and start to put some other systems in place. So I'm hoping that having a week's break, being able to actually sit down and focus on Vegas, really try to focus on the attack, gives us an opportunity to actually put some goals away. It will be interesting to sort of see the look on the guys' faces once it actually does go in, because we're now 4 games without a goal.
June 1st.
Yeah.
If I remember the paper bag from
heck of a pride raiser, right? Like there literally no goals.
One. 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, So yeah, I think yeah. Steve,
Yeah.
give me a score prediction.
Ugh. I don't know. I have
I
a
will.
hard time giving a positive score prediction for the Hounds until I actually start seeing goals hit the back of the net.
Yeah.
I think we get a goal. I think this ends 1-1.
I will.
I don't like to
I
say
will.
that, but until I see
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
different, and that's even wishful for me at this stage.
I'll say 1-0. I'll take one goal and be happy with it. And if we get a 1-1 draw, I think I'll still be happy with it just because we scored. And now
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yep.
you put that behind you. And now you focus on all of July at home and tightening things up and go from there.
Well, and I think what we're both saying there is we've talked about it. Justin talked about it the past few shows he's been on. Must-win games, right? Like at some point, yeah, we've got to start winning games. Is any one individual game not a must-win game? No, but we're at the stage where we have to start winning games, and to do that, we have to start scoring. And so, even if we don't win this game, if we score, that's taking the first step towards what we need to be able to get ourselves into a playoff position.
Yeah. And this game is the halfway point of the season.
Yep.
So when you think about sort of where we're at and if we want to start progressing forwards, we're halfway there. So this isn't like we've got a ton of time left. We basically turn around and go home, and that's kind of where we're at. So
right.
Yeah, this is
like looking at like where we're at. I mean, we're 3 points off of North Carolina, but have played an extra game, and they're sitting in 8th in the playoff spot, right? So at some point, we've got to make up ground.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be a late one because it is traveling out west. The game is going to be on 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So for those of you staying up, enjoy the game. I will most likely catch it the following morning. That is what we think. Obviously, let us know what you think. Want to give out a plug to the How to Watch Soccer episode that we did with John Morrissey. It has been blowing up on YouTube and as a podcast to listen to. We have gotten feedback of people that have listened to it as a podcast and then have turned around and gone over and watched it on YouTube because of the clips and being able to watch them. So if you have not caught that, make sure you go back and see it. It is on our YouTube channel. Lots of fun talking to him. Like I said, that probably won't be the last time we do it.
Yeah.
Steve, anything else for this one?
Not much else to say. It's a team I don't know much about and don't pay that much attention to. Like you were reading through the guys to watch. I don't remember any of those guys' names, right? Like at least guys that are around the East, I'll usually recognize the name. I don't know these guys. I mean, we play them once every few years. Usually the team's probably completely different each time we play them. So
yeah. The West is a whole nother world. Like it just, I just, if we find a player or two on each team that we've known from before, it's surprising to me.
And to me, like those are the players that were former Hounds or have been in the league for a long time and made the rounds. And so you know them because you've played against them.
Yep. Yeah. Alrighty. Come on, you Hounds. We'll talk to everybody very, very soon.
See ya.